Over the last few months, the internet has gone absolutely feral over a man named Wade Wilson. And no, we're not talking about a fictional character on Deadpool. We are talking about a murderer who didn't just murder one woman, he murdered two, basically in cold blood. But has that stopped hordes of women coming together online to try to not only find a way to contact Wade as if them fangirling is going to end up with them in his bed, but also raising nearly $100,000 in his name to help him avoid the death penalty? So today we are going to unpack, or at least try to unpack, the reasoning behind why so many people are lusting after this guy. Is it just because he's tall? We do not understand. I thought that we all chose the bear, ladies. So sit back, relax, and take a deep breath. It is time to let the fresh air in. Hello, everyone. Welcome back, or welcome if you're new. My name is Erin, and I am fascinated by all things cult, true crime, and unique spiritual practices. And whether or not you're new or returning, you might notice that our backdrop is a little bit different. I was feeling a little creative, artistic, and so now I'm displaying all the incredible books that I read, and I just finished Fourth Wing. It is so good. I don't think I've read a book this good since like Harry Potter. I am so obsessed. I had to grieve for like 3 days over the fact that I will never get to read that book for the first time ever again. It is so sexy. I need to be Violet. Like I was like, I want to be Violet in the movie. And then I found out who was actually going to be Violet in the movie. And I was like, okay, well, they already cast her. Plus she's like 10 years younger than me. That's fine. But Xaden better be hot, all I'm saying. Anyways, guys, if you're going to thirst after everyone, maybe just let it be a fictional character for the love of God. Even if it's a villain, at least it's not a real villain. You can make up a story in your head about the villain in your favorite show being tortured and you being able to save him. Like, I get it. I think we all fell for Heath Ledger's Joker, even though he's a maniacal psychopath. I get it, because I also was like, why am I attracted to the Joker? I do not understand. But I wasn't attracted to the Joker. I was attracted to Heath Ledger, okay? I was attracted to the acting. I was attracted to how versatile of an actor he is. That's what the real attraction is. But the fact that people, so many, vast amounts of people are thirsting over Wade Wilson, it is really, really concerning. And there is some psychology that explains a little bit about why this is happening. But first, if you have absolutely no idea who Wade Wilson is or what I'm talking about, I'm going to give you a very, very brief overview about what's going on. I usually like to try to highlight the victims more in this case. And today I really want us to start thinking about, yes, obviously the victims. What happened to these two women is absolutely horrifying. But today I really want to focus on the surviving family members and friends and loved ones who have to know what this monster did to their family. And whenever they go online, they're forced to see people making compilations about this man, lusting over him because he's tall and, oh wow, he might have worn tight pants and I think he touched his crotch in this video. This is disgusting and it's disturbing. And I can't imagine how upset and heartbroken the family members and loved ones of the two victims are feeling right now, knowing that when people talk about what happened to their loved ones, they're lusting over the murderer. They're lusting over the murderer. They're lusting over the man that did this to the people that they love for absolutely no reason. Wade Wilson is literally my worst fear realized. He would target women. He would pretend to be this upstanding guy. He would give a lot of them a fake name, and the ones he didn't just sleep with and have a one-night stand with or force himself upon, because he's done this to multiple people, mind you. If he did decide he wanted to pursue you and date you, things would be fine for about 6 months, and then he would start harming the person again. He is an abuser. This has happened many times. Exes of his have recently come out to share their story about how terrible of a person this guy was. So before I go on a long rant, let me just update everybody who doesn't know so far about what happened in this case. It's kind of surprising that this is only coming to light because a bunch of people on TikTok are like lusting after this guy. I mean, I'm even mad at myself that I didn't know more about this case. But on October 6, 2019, Wade Wilson and his girlfriend Mila were out on the town. They were drinking. Mila had given him her keys to like protect them during the night out. And she was out there with another friend of hers and him. But Wade like bumped into an old friend, or it was essentially like a stranger, and kind of befriended this guy on the spot. And after some drinks and having a good time, Wade decides that he wants to hang out with this guy even longer that night. But Mila and her friend were ready to go home. And Mila was like, no, I don't want to hang out with this stranger. I don't want to go to some guy's house. I just want to go home. So I'm going to go home with my friend. Give me my car keys. But Wade refused to give Mila her keys. So instead, she just like walked home, I think, with her friend. So after his girlfriend leaves, Wade sees a woman named Christine Melton and is apparently instantly attracted to her. And he approaches her and a friend of hers, and they really hit it off, and they all end up leaving together. There are so many details in this case that I'm not going to get to, but I will link down some videos that have been fantastic resources for me if you want to get like a deep dive of the entire story. But anyways, so this group of new friends, they end up leaving together, and Wade ends up sleeping with Christine that night. Although later he would claim that, oh, that didn't happen. That's just something the media is saying to paint him in a bad light, which don't think so, dude. I doubt it. But apparently they fall asleep together after doing the deed, and for whatever reason, Wade is sitting and watching her sleep the next morning and decides that he is going to murder her. Just out of the blue, decides that this is his moment. He's going to act on this impulse, and he does it. He ends up killing her. And who knows if he's just on like a rampage. It seems like he was just incensed for some reason. But he calls up Mila, who is about to go to work with her friend. And Mila's like, yeah, I need you to meet me with my car. You need to give me back my car. But Wade can't drive a stick shift, and Mila's car was a stick shift, so he was using someone else's car. So he decides he's going to go and meet her at her work, and instead of showing up with her car, he shows up in a different car. So obviously Mila's like, where is my car? And he is basically just trying to force her to get into his vehicle. He is literally trying to pull her in the driver's side window. And people keep saying in a plank position. And to me, that's like the exercise movement when you're planking and you have your hands down. But she was like planking against the car, trying to keep her arms stiff, her whole body stiff, because he was literally trying to like pull her body in the car window. And then he got so frustrated that he opened the door and gets out, but didn't put the car in park. So the car starts moving, and it even nicks the two of them. And luckily, thank goodness, Mila gets away, and Wade leaves in this other car. And so unfortunately, it comes upon a woman. This woman's name is Diane Ruiz, and he pulls up next to her while she is walking to work, and asks her for directions. At some point, she gets into the car with him. We are unsure if she was willingly getting into the car, but with Wade's record, I think it's pretty safe to say that she was probably not willing to get in the car. And then he decided to strangle her and then dump her body in a parking lot nearby. And when he this part is so disturbing. I hate to even repeat it because I feel like this next detail is what people continue to repeat. But it also came out of Wade Wilson's mouth himself when he made his confession to his father. But he realized that Diane was still breathing. And instead of calling for help, trying to make sure she was okay, he decided that he had to kill her, and he ran over her body over and over and over again until he knew the job was done. And according to him, his own words, he said that she looked like spaghetti by the end of it. These are his words that he confessed to his father. So at this point, Mila has called the cops on him for the assault. And mind you, this was not the first time that he had physically harmed her. And before anyone starts blaming Mila, first of all, this is a man who has a pattern of behavior. He has done this to multiple girlfriends and, as far as I know, one boyfriend, where he would date them, appear to be this upstanding, wonderful guy for about 6 months, and then he would start torment them. With one ex, he got her in the car, which seems to be his MO, and he violently SA'd her and had a recording of it. There was a recording of him doing this to her, and she was his girlfriend, and she was horrified, but she still went to the police. And this is down in Florida, and it just seems like this is a common thing I've seen in many cases that happen down in Florida, where the officials just don't seem to take women seriously when they literally bring them hard evidence that they have been SA'd or otherwise hurt by somebody. But this woman went to the cops with this tape, and when they questioned Wade about it, he told them that she liked it rough. And what did they do? They took his word for it. They took his word for it. Allegedly, he also did this with a ex-male partner. And it's just so frustrating because not only does this guy have an extensive rap sheet, I mean, his name is in the system. It was in the system prior to this whole debacle. And he would continue to give women fake names. So we always tell women, I tell my girlfriends anyways, and I think it goes for anybody, Google whomever you're going to meet up with, if you're meeting somebody online, or even if you meet someone in public, before you get too close to them, find their name and Google them and see if, basically do a background check, because you just can never be too safe anymore. But Wade would give out these fake names. He gave out fake names. He said to one woman that his name was Steven, which happens to be his middle name. And I know that a lot of people go by their middle names and their first name is basically like obsolete, but still legally that's going to show up in a database not as him. If you went and you searched Steven Wilson, maybe at this point his name would pop up because his rap sheet is that extensive. The point being, it's not going to show up if you just type in first name Steven, last name Wilson. You might not find the right person. I just want to make that perfectly clear. Also, there are statistics that show that it takes multiple times and multiple tries for a person to leave a domestic violence situation. And this is because of the tactics that the abusers are using time and time again. They hurt you, they apologize to you, they tell you they're going to get better, they tell you how much they love you, and you go back to them, and for a little while, it is still good. For a little while, they make you feel like the most wonderful person in the world. They make you feel like they would never, ever hurt you. And so when they do hurt you and then apologize yet again, your dopamine receptors almost become like conditioned to think that that's what love is. You're going back because you want those positive feelings again. You want him to love bomb you again before he starts hurting you again. And when you add on the fact that if you do go to the police and they do not validate the fact that you've been harmed, then you might start gaslighting yourself almost and think, well, if no one else is taking this seriously, am I overreacting? Am I worried about it because I went to the cops and they said that it's not that big of a deal and I should give him a second chance? I went to the cops and they didn't do anything about it. They didn't listen to me. They didn't take it seriously, even though I have a video of him harming me. And actually, a woman named Kelly Matthews recently posted on TikTok and shared her deeply disturbing story of her relationship with Wade Wilson. And what's really interesting to me is that they broke up. It would have had to have been right before Wade met Mila, the girlfriend that he basically cheated on with Christine and then killed Christine and then went to Mila's work the next day to try to get her to, honestly, I think he would have probably killed her if he had the chance, but she, thank goodness, got away. But a woman named Kelly went on TikTok and said that she started seeing him in 2018 and everything was fine. He followed the same pattern of abuse. He was love bombing her. Everything seemed great for 6 months, and then bad things started happening. Kelly starts a relationship with Wade in 2018 and doesn't even know that his real name is Wade until she receives a piece of mail with his name, Wade Wilson, on it. So she's already getting these alarm bells ringing in her head, right? And not only that, but he had a history of not just abusing her, but she had also spoken to an ex of his who claimed that he had also abused that ex. So we can see that this is a pattern of behavior with this guy. So in early 2019, for whatever reason, Wade decides he's going to tie Kelly up, drive her hours away from her home. They go down to the Florida Keys, and then he SAs her. And for her, it was like the absolute final straw. She went back home and immediately went to the police. But guess what? Once again, they do not take it seriously. And it just is so aggravating because how many women, and even potentially a man who he allegedly stabbed, by the way, are reporting the ill treatment they're experiencing at Wade Wilson's hand, and they're not taking it seriously. When will anyone take a woman seriously? I would hope that when you would type in someone's name, that it would pop up that they have been accused of something like this before, because that will show a pattern of behavior. Now, I don't know if in the legal system it only shows up if they're actually charged, but they're not going to get charged if a cop doesn't believe the woman has a reason to charge them. So he is getting away with this because he's using his charm. He's using his manipulation tactics. He's very, 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 very good at getting what he wants when he knows he has to manipulate the situation. But when he gets surprised, he doesn't really know what to say or do. He kind of backpedals. But when he sees an opportunity to manipulate a situation, he does so with a lot of skill. And that is what I believe is going on right now with all of these people coming together to save Wade and basically begging the judge to not give him the death sentence and raising so much money to try to save this guy who brutally murdered 2 women and has hurt and abused countless other women and men. Just when does it end? When does it stop? So this situation with Kelly had to have happened right before Wade met Mila, his current girlfriend, or the girlfriend that he was with when this all transpired, because she also claims that things were really good for the first few months, and they met about 6 months prior to these attacks. And Mila had been harmed by Wade before. She had literally gone to the police before. She was ready to press charges against him. He went to jail for, I believe, 3 months because of what he did to her. and she dropped the charges because he was able to sweet talk her. He was able to sweet talk her. He is a living example of one of the scariest types of people because he is just so good at being manipulative, and he's manipulating the masses at this point. So going back to the incident, it's now October 7th, and Mila has gone to the police yet again to tell them that Wade has just basically almost run over her in a car. So the police are out to get Wade at this point. And Wade is starting to realize that the police are after him, but he has committed 2 murders that he knows about, so he doesn't want to get caught. The police, they don't know about the murders yet. They don't know until later. So Wade is panicking at this point because he knows that if he's caught, he's probably going to be going to jail for a very long time. And Wade being Wade knows he has to manipulate the situation. So he calls his biological father, whom he had only semi-recently reconnected with. And according to his biological father, Wade had a pattern, yet again, of only really reaching out when he needed something. So he knew immediately when he got that phone call from Wade that Wade needed something. And Wade let it all out. He told everything he had done to his father. And according to his dad, Wade was excited about it. He was exhilarated that he had done this. And then he was turned into police. So Wade gets arrested and he's in jail for quite some time. He's trying to smuggle drugs in and out of jail. He's getting in trouble at jail. He's getting attacked at jail. He's getting swastika tattoos all over his face. He is really leaning into this villain aesthetic, I guess you could say, and identity, and is showing absolutely no remorse. So now we have all of these phone call recordings. We have recordings from him with Mila literally admitting to the crimes, and you can really hear him sweet talk her. It's really disturbing to listen to this phone call and hear how much he is able to sweet talk her.
Because I had to tell you. Mila, I know I did, but I know, Mila. Mila, I'm sorry. You know I love you, baby. I'm sorry for doing that to you. I was wrong. But I didn't.
I'm never going to see you again now.
You
had everything going for you.
Baby, will you please see me again? This is going to ruin my life if you never see me again, please.
Your life is ruined, babe. What do you not understand? You can't.
Yeah, but if I have you in my, at least if I have you in my life, I won't feel like it's over, you know?
And it just goes to show you how good he is at manipulating the situation. I mean, this woman has not only been hurt by him before, she knows that he just killed 2 women. She knows that he cheated on her, and he's still able to sweet talk her so much that she's sending him money to jail and calling him in jail. But later on, Wade would find out that Mila was actually sharing information with the police. Well, according to his father, she was recording it and sending it to the media. But what I think happened is these criminals, and I guess their families, just don't understand that literally every single phone call you make from a prison is going to be recorded. Everything is recorded. So to say, oh, well, paint Mila as this bad person when she's a survivor of abuse, and painting her as some conniving person that's just trying to get back at him by recording secretly the call and giving it to the media. No, it's all public record, dude. You said you killed these people. You confessed to these crimes. So fast forward 2024, okay? So Wade Wilson is found guilty of murder on June 12th of 2024 this year. And since that date, which in America, it's publicized, it's all online, everyone can see the court footage, there's an app where you can reach out to and text people who are in jail. And this guy has received 3,903 messages.
Lee County Sheriff's Office says that Wade Wilson has received 3,903 messages since June 12th of this year.
And he's only accepted a little under, I believe, 200 messages. But there's several hundred that the cops wouldn't even let go through because they are nude photos that women are sending him. There is a fan base for Wade Wilson. And what's absolutely insane about all of this is they do not believe that he's guilty. There's literally a group on Facebook called Save Wade Wilson, and it is some of the most disgusting things I have ever seen in my entire life. Save Wade from the death penalty. He's innocent. Donate to Fundly and go get funding, because I'm pretty sure GoFundMe wouldn't let you raise money for a serial killer or almost a serial killer. He just needed one more. And if he had actually been successful in hurting his girlfriend Mila, which I believe that he would have done given the chance, I mean, he went over there and was incredibly violent, he would be a serial killer. This is horrifying. This group is an incredible example of cognitive dissonance, because it's like they are attacking other people for the same reasons that everyone else is like, Wade Wilson is a psychopath killer. Maybe we don't support this guy. So they're running this hate campaign on Wade's biological father because he essentially turned Wade in. I'm not going to read everything because there's more I still want to get into, and this video could be hours long. So people start flooding Wade Wilson with all of these messages into the jail. They're trying to contact them. They're like fangirling. And of course, he finds out, he's caught wind that there are multiple TikToks of him thirsting over this guy. People are wooed by his height and his package size that he rubs and looks at the camera, and everyone thinks, oh my gosh, it's for them. For some reason, these women have decided that they are going to take it upon themselves to try to save Wade Wilson, because if they have a crush on him, there's no way he did this. He's innocent and he needs help. And so if you really look at all of Wade's behavior and his pattern of behavior before he got arrested, it seems that when he knows he has to manipulate a situation in order to get what he wants, he is really, really, really good at that. He's really good at getting what he needs out of a situation. He's charming. He knows exactly what to say. He's wildly manipulative. He's a master gaslighter. He knows what to say to get what he wants. I mean, this guy's not afraid of anybody or anything, but it's almost like he doesn't recognize, if he's in a state of panic, that he needs to manipulate the situation. I think it's only if he can be more calculated with it is he really good at it. Because when he is panicked because he just killed these two women, he knows the cops are after him, he just confesses. He just confesses all of this information. And then when he calls his girlfriend or his girlfriend calls him later, he confesses that he hurt these women too. But now, fast forward, he gets convicted of these crimes. His sentencing is coming up in just a couple months. His sentencing is this Friday. And I think that Wade has seen this as an opportunity to pander to his audience. Now he's like, if I can get the masses to believe that I didn't do this, there's a shot that I can appeal this case. And if there's enough public outrage, I will be able to get out of this or stay alive. He's getting letters to jail. He's getting nude photos. They have literally raised over $60,000 already to get this guy off of death row. They are desperate to make sure that this murderer doesn't get the death penalty. And regardless about how you feel about the death penalty, that's not the point here. The point here is that there are hordes of people coming together to try to save the life of someone who admitted that he murdered two people. He said it. He said it because they think that he's attractive. So obviously it's been a phenomenon that women are coming together to save the life of this murderer who murdered women, no less. And so a psychologist was interviewed and she talked a little bit about what this meant. And I found it really interesting.
Some women have this fascination with the killers themselves. Why?
According to evolutionary psychology, we today are still attracted to the things that would have helped us survive back in our ancestral past. Think hunter-gatherer environment.
Vickery says the gatherer is meant to be a protector, the dominant figure.
Who is more dominant than a killer? And so while consciously it makes no sense for a woman to be attracted to a killer, especially who has killed other women, our subconscious mind doesn't always make that distinction.
It's really interesting that even though someone is violent to another, it tells our subconscious that, oh, they're a hunter, they're a protector, they will protect me. It's like our rational mind takes a minute to chime in and say, no. He's targeting other women. He will not protect you. But because of his like height and stature and the manipulative way in which he talks, there's this like subconscious programming in some women that finds that all attractive, which when you put it in that way, you're like, oh, okay, I guess I get it. But also no, because he murdered 2 women. So now that Wade has all of this support across the nation and people literally raising money for him, contacting him, he has a literal fan base. He is using that to his advantage. In fact, very conveniently, all of a sudden, he's like, guys, listen, here's the real story. I had to take the fall because of the gangs that I'm involved with. And they're scary people. They're drug traffickers. They're human traffickers. They're scary, scary, scary people that I was involved with. And now he claims he has to backpedal. Otherwise, all of these people are going to be coming after him because he held his end of the bargain, but they're not holding their end of the bargain. And authorities are like, there is absolutely no proof that any of these organizations are in your area, nor is there proof that you could have or would have ever been involved with them. But of course, the people who are sharing all of this new information in an effort to save Wade, the murderer's life, they're sharing his story on his behalf. And the audio's a little difficult to hear, so I'm going to read you this statement that they made in like a live. I don't know how he's able to like send these messages out via social media. It must have something to do with this like text communication app. But honestly, I don't think he should have the right to communicate with people on the outside world unless there's like an approved list of family members and loved ones that he can contact. I just don't think it's appropriate. And I don't think it would ever be appropriate for him to profit off of these crimes. I've heard of people wanting to go to the jail and interview him for their podcast. And it's like, why? Is no one thinking about the victims' family members and friends and children seeing all of this? It's disgusting to me. And I honestly haven't heard enough people talk about that. The impact, the negative impact that this must be having on the victims' family members must be so detrimental and difficult. There are people coming together to protect the man who murdered their loved ones in cold blood. Why? Why? Because you have a crush on him? Because you have a crush on him. Like, it's so heartbreaking. But the thing is, he's been able to manipulate massive amounts of people. And when you hear the way he talks, it's easier to see how. This is exactly why we need to listen to victims and survivors more, because he is the prime example of what a master manipulator looks like. He killed 2 women and he has hundreds, if not thousands of women trying to get him exonerated because they think that he's innocent. It's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. So this is the statement that he makes before his benefactor or friend or whomever this is, fangirl, shared his real story about what happened in 2019. Hi, everyone. For too long, I've remained silent, hoping that the justice system would uncover the truth on its own. However, it's clear that I must now put matters into my own hands and reveal my side of the story. From the very beginning, I have maintained my innocence. You literally admitted and confessed to these crimes and have showed little to no remorse and have continued to attempt crimes from within the walls of jail. What? I cooperated fully with the investigation, believing that the truth would prevail, but the system failed me. Evidence was mishandled. Witnesses were intimidated, and my voice was drowned out. Really? Because we all heard it. Confess to the crime, bro. What are you doing? My voice was drowned out by the overwhelming pressure to find a scapegoat. I became the scapegoat, the convenient target to satisfy the demand for justice. I share this story with you now because I believe in the power of truth and the strength of your support. Together, we can shine a light on the corruption and flaws within the system that led to the miscarriage of justice. This is disgusting. And if you've found this video and you're a fan of Wade's, please listen to this. He confessed multiple times to different people. Please hear me when I say this is a deeply disturbed individual. And let's say he got out of jail. He's not going to come find you and love you. He's not. He's not. Whether or not he stays in jail or gets the death penalty, he's going to be in jail for a very, 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 very long time. And if we have fangirls trying to communicate with him, trying to change the public's perception of the monster that he is never going to be able to reflect on what he did and at least try to recognize the horrors of what he did. Because now he's pretending that none of it happened. He's making up stories. He's falsifying a whole narrative to appease his now fans. And his fans, you're spending precious, precious, precious time and resources on a man who killed 2 women instead of something worthwhile, instead of helping the victim. We should be raising that money for these victims' families. It makes me see red that this is happening and people are feeding into it like it's some kind of joke. Thank you for believing in me and for your unwavering commitment to the truth. That's laughable. Your support gives me so much hope to endure, knowing that one day the truth will set me free. I love you all and thank you for joining this live. So we're going to hear about the organization now. Wade initially started working for the organization around February of 2019. How convenient, right around when he would have met Mila. And he worked with them for about 8 months until his arrest. Initially, he was brought in as security detail because of his size. People are naturally intimidated by him. But he didn't ask many questions about the job because he needed one, and they were offering one. He moved to the Florida Keys to work at a resort, and he lived on a 3-story yacht that was part of the resort. Okay, cool. Like, when I first heard this, I was like, does he think it makes him sound cooler that he, like, lived on a yacht? Okay. That's when the main boss, Eric James Brown, asked Wade to be part of his first meeting, as another gentleman would be coming in and needed to talk business at this meeting. This is where Wade truly understood his role, and he was asked to be a part of the business to be security. He understood that the business had to do with guns and drug trafficking. Wade made a comment that the gentleman at the meeting stated that they would make sure there was enough ice in the ice machines, ultimately referring to meth. Wade then started to learn about the chain of command. Tommy Williams was second in command and the main drug runner. Wade then met Josh Mataluish through Eric at the resort at a party they were hosting. Over time, Wade ended up becoming the second in command. And this upset Tommy because ultimately it kicked him out of his position. So Wade is painting himself as this like, well, I was just doing security detail and then I was so good at what I did that I replaced the second guy. And I'm just like way, way up there in this group. And I was only taking the fall for murdering these 2 girls because of my standing in this group. How convenient that after almost 5 years of being in jail and after being convicted of a murder and after you now have a massive fan base, you've come up with this story. How Convenient for you. Wade continued to learn more about the organization as he got closer with Eric and learned that a majority of the drugs were from Costa Rica because Eric lived there for 1 to 2 years in a penthouse. Great. He also learned that there was a private airport nearby in Marathon, Florida, only about 15 minutes away from the resort. They also had multiple cigarette boats at the resort. Later on, Eric purchased a twin plane that could take off from the water. They utilized these forms of transportation to get the guns and drugs transported from Costa Rica, Jamaica, and the Bahamas. Even more places back to Florida. It's only going to be a couple-hour boat ride from the Florida Keys to Costa Rica. The organization controlled the entire Keys. All of the drugs coming in and out had power and control over many people who lived in what they call the trailers in the Keys. And they continued to expand through Florida and other states. And meanwhile, authorities, this has all been like under the radar. The authorities have no idea about this. This just is all being made up by Wade because he thinks that if he comes up with this elaborate story, he will break free of getting the death penalty. What? Wade realized that Eric started bringing in girls from all over who were on their payroll. It started with strippers from Miami in the Keys, and then he started seeing women being transported from Brazil, Australia, Costa Rica, Aruba, and other exotic countries. This just sounds like it was written by AI, like ChatGPT. It's like, come up with a movie script about a crazy drug human trafficking ring in the Florida Keys and talk about exotic countries. Like, what? This isn't Hollywood. Like, this is so aggravating. I'm not going to read the entire story to you. I'll leave a link to a video where you can listen to the entire thing yourself. But this guy really is pulling out all the stops. At one point, he mentions that this organization had some dirty cops involved, and they were the same cops that got Wade to confess to the crime. And the night of the murder, Mila actually was there longer than she claims, and Wade had offered her up for sex for someone else who was involved in this crime ring because they were being threatened because sweet Wade and Mila just wanted to escape, and they thought that they would be able to get out if it's such an elaborate, ridiculous story that it just makes me more angry, and it makes me sad that so many people are believing this. And something we talk a lot about on this channel is, oh, it's not a cult if it's online. You know, it can't be a cult. No one's like controlling all of your behavior and isolating you. And I'm not saying that Wade Wilson is a cult leader, but the way that he has been able to manipulate all of the facts of a case that has undergone a thorough investigation for the last 5 years, and suddenly he's found guilty and now conveniently comes up with a story and people are believing it, that goes to show that cognitive dissonance is real. If you don't want to believe that someone is guilty of murder badly enough because you are lusting after them for whatever reason, then it's no surprise that people are influenced by cult leaders and other dangerous people online. There's a reason these social media personalities are called influencers, because it is not that hard to influence an audience. That's why marketing tactics exist. That's why when you turn on your TV or log on to Instagram, you see ads immediately for random stuff you would probably never think of using or needing. Because the power of persuasion, marketing, influencing, cognitive dissonance, all of these are tactics that sometimes the wrong kind of people know how to use in order to get what they want. And I can guarantee you that Wade is loving the attention he's receiving right now. He is loving it and he is using it to his advantage. Meanwhile, the people who loved the 2 women that he murdered have to see it all and see him smirk and smile and go on with his life. He still gets to live. Those 2 women did nothing to him. He's a dangerous, dangerous person, and he should not be allowed outside of prison walls. So his sentencing is in just a couple of days. It's happening on Friday, August 23rd. So we will have some clarity, and I'm sure we will see some reactions and heartbreak from his many, many thirsty fans. But this is just really, really heartbreaking. It's all I can do is think about the families, the loved ones, the children who are probably online and see the terrible, terrible things that people are saying about this man. The fact that there's a literal horde of people trying to protect this man when there was no one who was able to protect the 2 women he killed. The cops that multiple exes went to, whose job it was to protect those women, just protected Wade. I think Wade has gotten his fair share of protection. I think he's gotten enough. I think he's gotten away with enough. So I'm really curious to know, what do you guys all think about this? This to me is heartbreaking, frustrating, aggravating, disgusting. And again, my heart really goes out to the victims' families. I can't imagine how isolated and alone they must feel, because they can't even try to doom scroll peacefully without seeing something weird show up about the person who took someone's life away that they loved. It's just heartbreaking. Anyways, I hope you, it's difficult to say, enjoyed this video, but appreciated this video. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. I'm so eager to hear from you guys. And please be safe out there. Get people's real names. Google everyone you meet, literally. And just don't listen to manipulative people like this. If this case can teach us anything, it can teach us the tactics that these manipulative people use so that we don't fall for these tactics in the future. So with all of that, stay safe out there, ask questions, and always stay skeptical. Thank you guys so much for your support, and I will see you in my next video very soon. Bye.